My name's Cameron Treu. I'm the owner of Bam Bam's Barbecue here in Orem, Utah. I also competed for a long time. So I'm always excited about new ThermoWorks products because I use them not only in my competition, I use them just as much at home as I also use them in the restaurant. I think ThermoWorks did it right when they made it simple. You know, barbecue, it's a simple food, and I think a lot of us that cook it, we don't want things to be difficult, right? We cook with wood, we cook with fire, we keep it simple. So when this thing just connects right to the app, you know, right out of the gate, you don't even have to do anything. And then everything's just right there, all the probes, you can rename them. I love these. I love being able to kind of color code things with the identifiers so I know what's what. And I can even name it specifically as a different part of the muscle if I want to, in 10 seconds, and it uploads on here. And so there's a lot of functionality with that, and all of it is very, very well thought out, because honestly, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I think the app's one of my favorite parts of the device. Very, very clear to see. I can put this on a stand, I can lean it up on a box of gloves. I can see everything right here. I can make all the changes right here. I love just being able to see my pit, different meats. I also really like the graph. It's kind of cool to see what's been happening, you know, where your plateaus are, and it stores all this information. One of the really cool features is that it's all connected to the cloud. So I mean, if I put this thing in my pocket, it goes to sleep, all the information's storing there, it's in real time. When I pull this thing back out, I'm getting real-time information right there. I never lose it. I always tell my new cooks that, you know, when you're first cooking, depending on what the weather is, you want to kind of keep a cook journal. And this pretty much does that for you. So I think for a new cook, this is also really beneficial. So signals coming with the Pro Series probes is huge. I mean, these things can take a beating. These things fly all over the place with me, and they just always work. And so I think having accuracy is hugely important, because I mean, if you're looking at, let's say, a rack of ribs or a money muscle, 2-3 degrees over, and you just wasted 12 hours, especially if you're competing. And so knowing that you're gonna get the temp right every time is huge. I mean, more probes just gives you more information. I think a lot of people when they're cooking, they wanna be interactive with the cook. For me, I think for me, the most exciting part is the off-site things. You know, when I'm cooking for big groups, especially when I travel, I want to be able to see as much information as I can without having to be on site, right? So if I'm using a big rotisserie cooker like an Old Hickory or Southern Pride, there's no way I can connect to that to see what's going on. And when I'm cooking for, let's say, an NFL team, you don't want to mess up. And if if it runs out of gas or if it runs out of wood or anything else, you need to know about it. And so to be able to have a probe in a few different types of meat, to also have a probe telling me exactly what my temperature is, and to be able to set alarms, high, low, just helps me sleep a little bit easier. I think for a competition guy too, this is very, very important, because sometimes you don't want to sleep on site, and you are cooking different meats. And so not only different meats, but sometimes you want to probe in different parts of the meat. You know, a pork butt has 7 different muscles. So you can have one in the money muscle, you can have one, you know, right in the horn if you want. So it gives you a lot of options. You know, for me as a barbecue store owner, my whole day depends on power being to the smokers, things being to temperature, and you can't always watch it. So, you know, just last month we had a power outage, and I didn't find out about it until 2 hours late. So something like this is huge, where I can connect it to Wi-Fi, connect it to Bluetooth, and I can just always check in and see what's going on with my smokers. But even more importantly, I can see the temperatures are riding right. I can graph them. I can see if there's any changes at night and why those are happening. But just having that remote access to temperature and being able to set an alarm that will just beep right in my ear next to my bed if I have a power outage or any sort of temperature drop. I get a lot of peace of mind as a restaurant owner knowing exactly what's happening with my smokers back at the restaurant. And now I can with this, just because I've got the Wi-Fi connectivity. So it's huge.